August 13th, 1961, East Berlin. Construction crews and border guards work through the night, laying barbed wire and concrete blocks across Bernauer Strasse. Families wake to find their city split in half. Children call to grandparents across a line that did not exist 12 hours ago. What drives a government to wall in its own people? How do you justify imprisoning an entire population? What happens when the first person tries to cross? The German Democratic Republic has been bleeding citizens for 12 years. 3 million East Germans have fled to the west since 1949. The hemorrhage accelerates through Berlin, the last open crossing point between east and west. Party chairman Walter Ulbricht and Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev cannot allow the workers' paradise to empty itself one family at a time. The wall begins as desperation disguised as strength. Border police. Colonel Ivan Konev oversees the first phase. 275 crews work in shifts through August 13th and 14th. They string 27 miles of barbed wire from the Brandenburg Gate to Checkpoint Charlie. The wire runs down the middle of streets, through apartment buildings, across graveyards. Residents of Bernauer Strasse find themselves living in the west with front doors that open into the east. Ida Siegmann sees the wire from her third-floor window on Bernauer Strasse. She is 58 years old. Her apartment building sits directly on the borderline. The front entrance opens to East Berlin. The back windows face West Berlin. On August 22nd, 9 days after the wire appears, she throws a mattress from her window onto the sidewalk below. West Berlin fire crews position themselves to catch her. She jumps, the mattress shifts, she hits concrete. Ida Siegmann dies 20 minutes later at Lazarus Hospital. She becomes the first recorded death at the Berlin Wall. Construction accelerates. The wire becomes concrete. The concrete becomes a wall 12 feet high and 4 feet thick. The wall becomes a system. By September, the barrier includes watchtowers every 250 yards, guard dogs on long runs, floodlights that turn night into day, and a death strip of raked sand between two parallel walls. The sand shows footprints. The guards know exactly where to look. East German engineers designed the wall to kill. The inner wall stands 8 feet high with a smooth concrete pipe running along the top. Climbers cannot grip the pipe. The death strip contains tank traps, trenches, and tripwires connected to automatic weapons. The outer wall rises 12 feet with broken glass and razor wire at the crown. Guards receive orders to shoot anyone who enters the death strip. The euphemism is use of firearms at the border. The reality is a hunting ground 96 miles long. Peter Fechter learns this on August 17th, 1962. He is 18 years old and works as a bricklayer in East Berlin. He and his friend Helmut Kohlbeck plan their escape for weeks. They study guard rotations and identify a blind spot near Checkpoint Charlie. At 2 in the afternoon, they sprint across Zimmerstrasse toward the wall. Kohlbeck reaches the top and tumbles into West Berlin. Fechter climbs slower. Border guard Rolf Friedrich fires twice from 40 yards. One bullet hits Fechter in the hip. He falls backward into the death strip. Fechter lies in the sand for 57 minutes. West Berlin police gather on their side of the wall. East German guards remain at their posts. American soldiers at Checkpoint Charlie receive orders not to intervene. Fechter calls for help. His voice grows weaker. At 3:57, East German medics finally retrieve him. He dies in the ambulance before reaching hospital. His blood remains visible in the sand for 3 days until rain washes it away. The killing system perfects itself through practice. Guard training emphasizes that escapees are traitors to the socialist state. Success brings promotion and bonuses. Hesitation brings court-martial. By 1965, guards carry Kalashnikov rifles and receive ammunition counts that match their shifts. Every bullet must be accounted for. Missed shots require written explanations. Chris Geffroy attempts escape on February 5th, 1989. He is 20 years old and faces conscription into the East German Army. He and his friend Christian Gaudian choose a section near Treptow where the wall runs beside the Spree River. They believe the guards have orders not to shoot because the Soviet Union and East Germany are discussing reforms. They are wrong. At 11:45, Geffroy and Gaudian cut through the fence of the outer barrier. Motion sensors trigger alarms. 4 guards respond within 90 seconds. Border guard Ingo Heinrich fires first. His burst hits Geffroy in the chest and leg. Gaudian surrenders immediately. Geffroy crawls toward the inner wall. Guard Andreas Queen fires a second burst. 10 bullets enter Geffroy's back and head. He dies instantly 25 feet from West Berlin. Chris Geffroy becomes the last person killed trying to cross the Berlin Wall. The wall claims 148 lives between 1961 and 1989. The victims range in age from 1-year-old to 80. They include Ida Siegmann jumping from her window, Peter Fechter bleeding in the sand, and Chris Geffroy crawling toward freedom. They die from gunshots, falls, drowning in the Spree, and heart attacks during escape attempts. Each death serves the same purpose, discouraging the next person from trying. If you value documented Cold War history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Now back to the story. East German records reveal the wall's true cost. The Ministry for State Security employs 85,000 full-time officers and 173,000 informants to watch the population. 1 in 63 East Germans reports on neighbors, colleagues, CIS, and family members. The Stasi maintains files on 6 million people in a country of 17 million. The wall does not just divide Berlin, it transforms East Germany into a prison with guards on both sides of every door. The guards themselves become prisoners of the system they serve. Border Guard. Konrad Schumann escapes on August 15th, 1961, the third day of construction. He is 19 years old and stationed at the intersection of Ruppiner Strasse and Bernauer Strasse. West German photographer Peter Leibing positions himself 50 yards away. At 4 in the afternoon, Schumann drops his rifle and jumps over the barbed wire into West Berlin. The photograph becomes the most famous image of the Cold War. Schumann spends the rest of his life in hiding. Afraid the Stasi will track him down, other guards adapt to the killing. Rolf Friedrich, who shot Peter Fechter, receives promotion to sergeant and a bonus of 150 marks. He serves at the wall for 12 more years without incident. Andreas Quain, who fired the shots that killed Chris Geffroy, requests transfer to a different unit 3 weeks later. His commanding officer denies the request. Duty continues regardless of conscience. The wall divides more than territory. It splits families with surgical precision. Willy Brandt, mayor of West Berlin, estimates that the barrier separates 12,000 families immediately. Children wake up unable to reach grandparents living 3 blocks away. Spouses working night shifts return home to find their families on the wrong side of history. The lucky ones escape in the first hours before the wire becomes electrified. The unlucky ones wait 28 years. Escape attempts grow more elaborate as the wall becomes more deadly. Tunnel diggers work for months to reach the other side. Hot air balloon builders study wind patterns and guard rotations. Car modification specialists create hidden compartments in door panels and fuel tanks. Between 1961 and 1969, East German authorities discover 57 tunnels, arrest 128 balloon builders, and confiscate 347 modified vehicles. The most successful tunnel opens beneath Bernauer Strasse on October 3, 1964. West German diggers work for 6 months to reach the basement of a building in East Berlin. 29 people escape in a single night before border guards discover the entrance. The tunnel measures 4 feet high and 3 feet wide. Escapees crawl 125 yards from east to west. Children go first, then elderly family members, then adults. The tunnel requires electric lights and a ventilation system. Fresh air becomes a luxury that costs months of secret labor. Winter makes escape more dangerous, but provides cover. Snow obscures footprints in the death strip for exactly 47 minutes before guards clear it away. Ice on the Spree River appears thick enough to support a person's weight, but breaks under pressure. 24 people drown attempting to cross frozen waterways between 1961 and 1973. Their bodies wash up weeks later, sometimes on the wrong side of the border. The wall becomes permanent in the minds of guards and prisoners alike. Children born in East Berlin after 1961 know no other reality. They learn that the western part of their city represents a foreign country filled with enemies of peace. School textbooks describe the wall as the anti-fascist protection rampart, built to keep Western aggressors from invading the socialist paradise. Geography lessons never mention that the wall faces inward, designed to keep East Germans in rather than West Germans out. Border Guard training emphasizes the necessity of the barrier. New recruits receive lectures on Western plots to destabilize the German Democratic Republic. They study photographs of captured tunnels and hidden compartments. They learn to recognize the facial expressions of people planning escape attempts. Fear in the eyes indicates guilt. Looking toward the wall suggests criminal intent. Moving too slowly or too quickly through checkpoints requires additional scrutiny. Everyone becomes a potential traitor. Guards work 8-hour shifts in pairs. One watches the wall while the other watches him. Neither guard receives ammunition until the shift begins. Both surrender unused bullets when the shift ends. Conversations during duty focus on approved topics: weather, sports, approved political statements. Personal opinions about the wall, the government, or the people they guard remain unspoken. Speaking such thoughts aloud means immediate arrest and court-martial. The death strip requires constant maintenance. Groundskeepers rake the sand daily to maintain a smooth surface that reveals footprints. Gardeners plant rose bushes along the western side because flowers cannot hide weapons or tools. Electricians test motion sensors and floodlights every morning before dawn. The wall employs more people than it kills, but the mathematics of oppression always favor the oppressors. Medical records document the wall's psychological cost. East Berlin hospitals treat 647 cases of barrier neurosis between 1961 and 1975. Symptoms include insomnia, depression, and violent outbursts triggered by the sight of the wall. Patients report dreams of climbing over the barrier and nightmares of being shot while trying. Doctors prescribe sedatives and recommend avoiding areas near the border. The cure requires forgetting that freedom exists 20 feet away. Some guards break under the pressure. Border guard Dieter Wolfhart deserts his post on December 9, 1961. He attempts to swim across the Teltow Canal but drowns before reaching West Berlin. His body washes ashore 3 days later. The official report lists cause of death as accidental drowning during swimming practice. His family never learns he was trying to escape. The wall ages, but never weakens. By 1975, the concrete contains steel reinforcing bars that prevent tunnel construction from below. The death strip widens to include a second fence 15 feet inside the main barrier. Guard dogs patrol on long leads between the fences. The dogs are German shepherds, trained to attack anyone except their handlers. They receive better food than most East German citizens and veterinary care that exceeds human medical services. Engineering improvements continue through the 1980s. Motion sensors become more sensitive. Cameras provide better coverage of blind spots. Searchlights sweep the death strip every 90 seconds instead of every 2 minutes. The wall evolves into a machine designed to kill with maximum efficiency and minimum human error. Guards become operators rather than decision makers. The system decides. The system shoots. The system kills. November 9th, 1989 changes everything in 4 hours. East German Politburo member Günter Schabowski announces new travel regulations at a press conference. He misreads his notes and states that East Germans can cross the border immediately. Thousands gather at checkpoints within minutes. Guards receive no orders from their commanders. Phone lines to headquarters remain busy or unanswered. At 11:45, Border Guard Lieutenant Colonel Harold Jaeger opens the gates at Checkpoint Charlie without authorization. The Berlin Wall ends not with explosions or battles, but with confusion and abandoned procedures. The killing machine stops because one officer makes a choice his training never prepared him for. Guards abandon their posts and join the crowds. Hammers and pickaxes appear from nowhere. Families separated for 28 years embrace in the middle of the death strip. The sand that once revealed footprints now records dancing and celebration. The wall that killed 148 people becomes a tourist attraction within 72 hours. Demolition crews work for 11 months to remove the concrete and steel. The wall requires dynamite, bulldozers, and cranes to destroy what took 5 years to build. Pieces become souvenirs sold to tourists for 5 marks each. The death strip becomes a park with benches and flower beds. Cobblestones mark the wall's former path through the city. Most visitors walk across without realizing they are standing where people died for trying to cross. Guard records opened. After reunification, reveal the names of every person who served at the wall. Some guards immigrate to other countries, rather than face questions about their service. Others remain in Berlin and work ordinary jobs, alongside people they once watched through rifle scopes. The division between guard and guarded dissolves into the anonymity of a reunified city. Court proceedings begin in 1991 against guards who killed escapees. Prosecutors charge 421 former border guards with manslaughter. Defense attorneys argue their clients followed legal orders under East German law. Judges rule that shooting unarmed civilians violates universal human rights, regardless of local laws. The trials continue for 8 years. 246 guards receive sentences ranging from probation to 6 years in prison. Ingo Heinrich, who fired the first shots at Chris Geffroy, receives a suspended sentence of 1 year and 10 months. Andreas Quain, who delivered the fatal shots, serves 22 months in prison. Both men live in Berlin today under their real names. They work ordinary jobs and avoid interviews about their service. The past remains present in a city where former guards and potential victims shop in the same stores and ride the same trains. Tower 7 at Heinrich Heine Strasse houses Sergeant Klaus Weber and Private Hans Müller during winter shifts of 1967. They watch the same 100-yard section for 8 hours without speaking. Weber counts pedestrians, Müller tracks vehicles. Both report to Lieutenant Colonel Friedrich Dickel at shift change. Each tower stands 24 feet high with bulletproof glass and steel walls. Interior, 2 chairs, radio, logbook, rifle rack, coffee and thermos bottles, cold sandwiches and wax paper. Bathroom breaks require radio permission. Communication follows strict protocols. Radio call signs change daily. Appellant means shots fired. Baker means casualty confirmed. Charlie, what means medical assistance. Guards speak in codes, not words. Emotion disrupts efficiency. January temperatures hit minus 15 degrees. Tower heaters break regularly. Ice forms on rifle barrels. Frostbite affects 47 guards during winter, 68 to 69. March and October average 12 escape attempts monthly. December and July average 4. Statistics predict desperation. Patrol schedules adjust accordingly. Margarete Thurau lives at Bernauer Strasse, 15. Her apartment sits in East Berlin, but her door opens to West Berlin. Guards, nail boards across her entrance. August 14th. She lowers a basket on rope for food from West Berlin police. Guards cut her electricity and water. August 24th. She jumps. 2 broken legs, internal injuries. Police arrest her at the hospital. Anna Walz is 73 when she approaches the wire. September 2nd, 61. She carries a suitcase and papers to visit her daughter across the street for Sunday dinner. Border guard Rainer Liebeke arrests her 10 feet from the barrier. 6 months in Bautzen prison. Dies 2 weeks after release. Her daughter watches from her window. Checkpoint crossings require 3 document inspections by 3 guards. First examines forgeries. Second compares photos under bright lights. Third operates detection machines. 5 minutes minimum per inspection. Approved crossings need stamps from 4 offices. Bureaucracy moves slowly by design. Heinz Holzapfel smuggles between 62 and 64, 5,000 marks per person. 37 successful escapes, 185,000 marks total. Border police infiltrate his network, 15 years prison. Clients who testify get reduced sentences. Silent clients disappear. Dogs howl at crossing points for separated owners. Birds adapt flight patterns around searchlights. Cats trigger motion sensors. Guards shoot animals that compromise security. Children born after 61 play escape games, draw walls instead of houses. The barrier syndrome prevents approaching border areas. Guard training expands from 2 weeks to 6 in 65. Tunnel detection, vehicle modifications, moving target practice. Scores determine assignments. Highest scores get sensitive crossings. Medical facilities maintain blood supplies for border casualties. Neither side assists across the line. Medics watch injuries 50 yards away. Rural areas get identical barriers. Farmers lose fields. Villages lose population to relocation. Guards work 12-hour shifts alone. Paranoia breeds in isolation. Some report voices in empty fields. Television describes escapes as Western infiltration. Newspapers interview grateful guards. Radio features thankful citizens. UN resolutions pass without enforcement. NATO protests generate formal responses. Warsaw Pact supports East German sovereignty. Diplomacy focuses on access, not removal. Guard families attend separate schools, shop at separate stores. Housing depends on service records. Children learn silence about father's work. Escape services cost 1,000 to 10,000 marks. Forged documents, 500 marks. Safe houses, 50 marks nightly. Tunnel materials, 3,000 marks, 6 months labor. Summer heat causes medical leaves. Winter cold affects accuracy. Spring and autumn optimize alertness. Tracked vehicles compact sand to reveal footprints. Irrigation maintains vegetation height. Lighting adjusts seasonally. Churches hold divided services. Ministers use code words in broadcasts. Priests coordinate ceremonies. Families cannot attend. Stasi profiles escape risks, warning signs, routine changes, Western contact, suspicious purchases, 73% accuracy between 67 and 74. Guards rotate every 6 weeks. Partners change monthly. Sympathy brings transfer. The system treats compassion as weakness. The Wall's final secret emerges from Stasi archives opened in 1992. East German authorities record 148 confirmed deaths, but classify files on 63 additional cases as border incidents requiring further investigation. The victims include people shot while approaching the wall, people who died of heart attacks during detention after failed escape attempts, and people who committed suicide rather than face imprisonment for helping others escape. The true death toll reaches 211 people killed for the crime of wanting to leave.